He did it to me. Hello there, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. We are back for more punishment.
It's not fair to do it to her so late in the day after we've been up for so long and been fasting. We just did a 2-day fast. Just regular. It's just all about detoxing and keeping the systems clean.
Yeah. I wimped out. I couldn't go anymore. I started getting headache, nausea, and at some point you just have to say, okay, enough.
Yeah, you listen to the body. But still, by that time, you've got the body pumping out so much HGH, and autophagy has been working at a very high level. So very productive. Autophagy is basically when the cells clean themselves of toxins. By the way, so thank you guys again for your support over on Patreon, and head over to Patreon for new unique videos. And we've talked about this. Everybody's talked about this. People have a lot of different ideas what this test is going to be on October 4th. And you could read what they're showing up on the screen. We don't dare mention it this way, but, just think in terms of, it might be nothing. Could just be another test. One thing I'm sure they're doing is implementing changes in the system. This is what they always do when you have these type of things.
Well, that's very important when it comes to programming and networking and getting things to talk to one another and making those changes. You gotta kind of take everything down for a minute, or you have to create a window of opportunity to do that. Now, one of our family members sent something that said they are connecting everything to Skyline and GPS, but I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I know we are going to take that day off.
Yes, we will have things scheduled, so to speak. But again, what's on the screen right now, we're not saying that, but somebody else is. And there's lots of thoughts. A lot of people are actually saying something like the MV might be unleashed. Well, this is certainly a curious coincidence, isn't it? During Russia's nuclear attack drills scheduled for October 3rd, one day apart, most of the population will be part of the exercise in bunkers and shelters. Do you know where your U.S. government location is to go into in case of a nuclear attack? That's right. You don't know because none of us have one.
Right.
The Russian citizens do, but we don't. And then you have the U.S. having its emergency drill on October 4th. Can you read? Can you smell? Do you know what the Illuminati are cooking?
I know. This is a really horrible thing because ever since I was little, actually when I was little up in northern Idaho, I did know where all the nuclear bunkers were. My parents pointed them out to me in the mountains and various other places, but I haven't heard a peep since.
So, this is from the Metro. Russia will stage its first nationwide nuclear attack exercise across 11 time zones, 11, in preparation for potential end war. Scheduled to take place on October 3rd, and we'll see Putin's regime present the West as a nuclear aggressor. The one-day nuclear attack exercise, which had only ever been done region by region, will include preparation for the destruction of up to 70% of Russian housing stock and life support facilities. It will assume the scenario that martial law has been introduced in Russia and has gone through full mobilization. Coincidentally, there were some videos out there making a buzz talking about all the housing that China has. And we know there's ghost cities, but there's actually enough housing in China to hold 1 billion more people than they have. 1 billion more people than they have. Some have said it's just a Ponzi scheme, and they'll come around and they'll go and just knock it all down because it's all about cash flow and appearances. Interesting. Maybe they're expecting some illegal aliens from elsewhere. I mean, other than Earth. Mm-hmm. Just putting it out there.
Anything's possible.
It is, because there's war on more levels than what we're aware of going on. That is a fact.
I think that was really curious. We've been coming into certain things that, I don't know how many of you guys are seeing that white stuff in the air at nighttime. It's really, really strange, and it has a very um, kind of a silky like feel to it, and it looks a little bit like ash.
Yeah, we could witness the simultaneous occurrence of also, besides those two events, the U.S. government shutdown. So you got the U.S. government shutdown, never before seen full-scale nuclear national exercise over in Russia, and the testing of the emergency alert in the U.S., all basically, within a 24-hour period. And, in case you missed, this was from April of this year. There were leaks that showed Western special forces on the ground. So this is part of the reveal. It's been going on the whole time. There are direct confrontations going on where U.S. and U.K. soldiers are shooting at Russian soldiers, and vice versa. It's just unfortunately a matter of time. And, Cindy was picking up the vibes of this before, and Canadian Army's website hacked, taken down, Indian hacktivist group prime suspect. So, the feeling is that this is more attention to try to get India to literally come in and take part militarily in the war to come between BRICS and NATO.
Very curious stuff.
Yeah, the timing. Everything seems to be just kind of lining up at the moment. Serbia moves troops and tanks to the border with Kosovo, and we were talking about Armenia and Azerbaijan, and Nagorno-Karabakh that was going to be yeah, it's just all this is coming down at once. It really feels, and just recognize what's past. The October 4th date, October 14th. Well, what's happening then? The second of the three eclipses. Meanwhile, we have a state of emergency issued in New York City as slow bands of moving torrential rain slam the region with major flooding. 8.5 inches of rain today. New York City is going through a mess, and we'll take a look at some more photos of that. But just going with that state of emergency flow, Eagle Pass, Texas declares state of emergency. As, just when you think you saw the most illegals crossing the border that you ever saw, you just simply got to wait for a few more hours and you'll find that there's more. Yeah, RFK Jr. also plans to announce independent run for president. So he will now try to replace Biden on the ticket, or Kamala, as far as a Democrat goes. He'll run as an independent, which, of course, those on the left, well, they probably would view it as he would take more votes from the right than he would the left. Not that many of us believe that it's really going to amount to anything that's going to deviate from the script.
No, they need the script to go on and on and on, regardless of who is sitting on the throne. They need certain things to happen. But I am curious because he has said a lot of things that are very strange, and there's a sad family history. So I would hate for anything to continue like that.
And now we take a look at some of the scenes from New York City as it's getting severely inundated. And in fact, some sea lions escaped from the zoo because of the water overflow. They were able to make their jailbreak. Here you see people trudging around. That's pretty deep. Absolutely pretty deep. Again, it's a concrete jungle, and concrete doesn't really allow for quick drainage like dirt would, or grass. Actually, the desert could be a lot like concrete when you see floods in the desert. And then look at this house too, because there's that entrance which is under the ground level, which again gets you thinking about Tartaria and mud flood, as many probably feel that we are in the beginning stages of another mud flood period. And I know David Devine over Adapt 2030, he was sending us messages showing us the alignment of the planets today. And they're all besides Mars and Mercury on one side of the sun. And he feels it's going to have an effect on the planet and everything going on. I tend to think the technology involved has a little bit more it has a higher percentage of what we're seeing going on, in my opinion.
I strongly believe that the planets, left to their own devices, have a very strong understanding of where their placements need to be so that they can harbor life. These are beings. They do not want to see that life destroyed. And I can't help but just every time I hear about this information that, Earth is doing this on her own, I have to keep looking at that Dyson sphere that's sitting on the front lawn of the Vatican. Like, how did they get that thing? Not to mention the Lucifer telescope. They know things. There's things going on. They have technologies that we are just really not aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. And all that, thought of Lucifer is based on one phrase that was mistranslated. But it certainly doesn't mean that there's not a dark side. No, obviously. There is. And here you see China Camp, Darien, Panama. First image on the left, April 2022, when Secretary of Homeland Security Mayorkas visited with cash to expand China Camp. That's got to really just boggle a lot of people's minds. And other people are like, yeah, of course. Second image is 2023. This is main camp. Chinese spies and other Chinese passing through Panama stay the night on their way to the U.S. The Chinese invasion camp is paid for by American blood and taxes. Thinking about that. Think about the irony. They have us working to create our own demise. Quite literally.
It's sad.
It is. I mean, now that truly is satanic. And again, Satan is just the adversary. That's what it means. Doesn't necessarily mean a guy with horns and a pitchfork, but, that can actually apply in some cases.
I've seen that.
Yeah, absolutely. The great apocalypse. That means it's the great unveiling. All will be revealed. As you see the little kitty bringing her kittens every night to her human's bed as a sign of trust. Aww. Isn't that sweet? Take care of your pets as well as everybody in your family. Definitely connect with your relatives, your loved ones, and your neighbors. It could be tough to speak about the things we speak about when people are really, they still got their head in the sand or their head up somewhere else, and they just don't understand. They don't see it. They think you're crazy, but somehow you've been right 99.9% of the time, especially lately with everything going on. So I think we got to share what we know, even though we know a lot of people won't necessarily like what we're saying. Again, it could save lives.
It's true. I know for some people it's just so difficult to hear what could be coming down the pipes. They really shut everything down, and that's really a trauma response. So it is going to be up to the rest of us to prepare as best as we can, so when things do happen, we're ready and we have answers for those who weren't able to prepare.
May you all be blessed and safe in these times. Namaste.
Namaste.